My best friend's secret changed everything. I never thought a random college roommate could become my brother. Jake and I clicked instantly. Same humor, same weird obsession with peanut butter and pickles. But when I found an old photo in his drawer, my whole life shattered. The truth was buried for 20 years and neither of us saw it coming. This isn't just a story about friendship. It's about the family I never knew I had. I still remember the first time I met Jake, move-in day at State U, and I was hauling my beat-up duffel bag into the dorm when this lanky guy with a faded band t-shirt held the door open for me. "You look like you're about to pass out," he said, grinning. I laughed, and just like that, we were friends. We spent that whole night talking, about stupid stuff mostly. Video games, bad high school haircuts, how neither of us knew our dads. That part stung, but Jake shrugged it off. "Hey, family's overrated," he said, cracking open a soda. I didn't think much of it then, but over the next few months, the weird coincidences piled up. We had the same crooked smile, same allergy to shellfish, even the same birthmark, a tiny crescent moon behind our left ears. Jake joked we were long-lost twins. Turns out, he was closer to the truth than either of us realized. It was a lazy Sunday when I first saw it. Jake was out grabbing food and I was digging through his desk for a spare charger. That's when I knocked over a shoebox, old pictures spilled everywhere. I was about to shove them back when one caught my eye, a little boy maybe 4 years old standing in front of a blue house. My heart stopped. Because that wasn't just any house. It was my childhood home. The one I lived in before my mom died. The one I hadn't seen in 15 years. I flipped the photo over, scrawled in faded ink, Jason, 1998. My name, my year. My hand shook. Why did Jake have a picture of me as a kid? I didn't remember ever meeting him before college. I was about to call him when I heard the dorm door creak open. "Hey, you okay?" Jake stood there, holding 2 burritos, his smile fading as he saw the photo in my hand. His face went pale. That's when I knew. This wasn't just some weird coincidence. Something was very wrong. Jake snatched the photo from my hand so fast I barely saw it happen. "Dude, what are you doing going through my stuff?" His voice was sharp, way sharper than I'd ever heard before. I wasn't snooping. I lied, my throat tight. "The box fell when I was looking for a charger." "Jake, that was my house, my name. How do you have that?" He wouldn't look at me. Just shoved the photo in his pocket and grabbed his jacket. "It's nothing. Some old foster care shit." Foster care? That didn't make sense. "But I was never in foster care," I said slowly. "I lived with my mom until she died when I was 6. Then my aunt took me in." Jake froze at the door. When he turned, back his eyes were red. "Yeah? Well, I bounced between homes my whole life. No mom, no aunt, just me." He swallowed hard. Maybe we should talk about this later." Then he was gone, leaving me with a cold burrito and a million questions. Why was he lying? And why did he look so scared? I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that photo, my childhood home, my name written in that shaky handwriting. Jake still hadn't come back to the dorm by morning. That's when I noticed it. The shoebox was still on the floor where it fell. Jake had been in such a hurry, he'd only taken the one photo. My hands shook as I lifted the lid. Inside were more pictures. A birth certificate. Jason Michael Carter. My full name. A hospital bracelet with my mom's name on it. And at the very bottom, a folded letter addressed to Jacob in the same handwriting. I almost didn't open it. But then I saw the date. 2 days before my mom died. The first line hit me like a punch. "If you're reading this, I'm gone." And Jason doesn't know he has a brother. The room spun. I had to read it 3 times before the words made sense. Jake wasn't just my best friend. He was my twin. I sat on the dorm floor clutching that letter until my fingers went numb. The words burned into my brain. You were separated as babies after the accident. The accident. The one that killed our dad. The one Mom never talked about. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone and called the only person who might have answers. Aunt. Carol. It rang 5 times before she picked up. Jason? It's 7 a.m. Did I have a brother? My voice cracked. Silence. Then a sharp inhale. Where did you hear that? The way she said it, like she'd been waiting 20 years for this question, told me everything. My stomach dropped. Down the hall, I heard the dorm elevator ding. Jake was coming back. I had seconds to decide, confront him with the letter or pretend I never saw it. But then the door opened and Jake took one look at the papers in my hands. His face crumpled. You weren't supposed to find out like this, he whispered. The dorm room felt like it was shrinking. Jake stood frozen in the doorway, his keys still dangling from his hand. I could see his chest rising and falling too fast. You lied to me, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. For 2 whole years. Jake ran a hand through his hair, that same nervous habit I had. I tried to tell you 100 times, man. But how do you drop that bomb? Hey, roomie, we share DNA? I threw the letter on his bed. You had this the whole time, you knew. Of course I knew, Jake's voice broke. I grew up in the system while you got a family. You think I wanted to mess up your life too? That stopped me cold. All this time, I'd pitied myself for losing Mom young. But Jake had nobody. The anger drained out of me, leaving something worse. Guilt. We stood there, 2 broken mirrors of each other, until Jake sank onto his bed and put his head in his hands. I just wanted a brother, he said. We sat in silence for what felt like hours, the weight of decades between us. Finally, Jake reached under his bed and pulled out a worn manila envelope. Caseworker gave me this when I aged out of the system, he said quietly. Our birth certificates, some court documents, and this. He handed me a faded Polaroid. 2 identical babies swaddled in blue blankets, a beaming young woman holding us, our mother. On the back, in her handwriting, my boys, Jason and Jacob, 1 month old. My throat tightened. Why did they separate us? Jake's jaw worked. After Dad died in that car crash, Mom couldn't handle twins alone. She kept you, sent me to a cousin, who dumped me in foster care when Mom got sick. He looked away. Your aunt didn't know about me until it was too late. The room blurred. All those years I'd felt like half a person, not knowing why. Now I understood. I'd been missing my other half all along. Jake suddenly grabbed my shoulder. Dude, are you okay? That's when I realized I was crying. We drove to Aunt Carol's that weekend. The moment she opened the door, she took one look at us standing side by side, really looked, and burst into tears. I tried to find you, she told Jake, gripping his hands like he might vanish. By the time social services told me about you, you'd been moved to another home. I swear I never stopped looking. Jake just nodded, his throat working. I realized then, he wasn't just getting a brother back, he was getting a family. That night, we stayed up late in my old bedroom, poring over every scrap of memory we had. Jake remembered the blue house's porch swing. I could still smell Mom's lavender perfume. Piece by piece, we put ourselves back together. Now, a year later, we share an apartment off campus. Same stupid peanut butter and pickle sandwiches. Same bad movie marathons. But everything's different. Sometimes I catch our reflection in windows. 2 identical faces, 1 story. And for the first time in my life, I don't feel like half of something. We were lost. Now we're found. Separated at birth, but not anymore. The reunion that healed 20 years of pain. Hit like if this twist shocked you. Subscribe for more real-life family mysteries. Share with someone who believes in fate.